You probably know the type. They step into a room and instantly calibrate to the exact frequency of the people around them. Their posture, their humor, and their very energy shift to match whoever they are talking to. Society calls them social chameleons, and our default judgment of them is usually harsh. We label this behavior as fake or untrustworthy, assuming these individuals simply lack a personality of their own. Clinical psychology views this highly mutable behavior as a dense, resource-intensive adaptation. It takes an enormous amount of cognitive power to constantly read a room and edit yourself in real time. If we look past the external mask, we find that four completely different psychological engines can drive this exact same behavior. Judging someone solely by their perfectly adapted exterior blinds us to the intense psychological reality operating behind the scenes. The person reflecting your own personality back at you might be deploying a calculated strategy, or they might be fighting for their survival. The most conscious of these engines is high self-monitoring. These individuals operate as social detectives. They constantly scan their environments, read nonverbal cues, and calculate the most advantageous way to act in any given situation. This strategy yields massive economic and social dividends. A high self-monitor can navigate complex corporate hierarchies, build vast professional networks, and resolve conflicts by adapting their communication style to bridge opposing sides. But maintaining that level of expressive control exacts a toll. Operating as a social pragmatist requires an individual to constantly play a role, often leading to emotional exhaustion and a creeping sense of internal alienation. For the high self-monitor, the mutable self is an active, conscious tool wielded to navigate and conquer social hierarchies. Moving away from neurotypical ambition, we find our second engine, masking. This is a camouflage technique deployed by neurodivergent individuals, specifically those with conditions like autism or ADHD. The motivation here is survival and inclusion. In a world largely built for neurotypical brains, a neurodivergent person learns early on that safety requires the manual suppression of their natural impulses. They block instinctive reactions, hide self-soothing behaviors, and actively load rehearsed conversational scripts. Sustaining this heavy cognitive load causes neurological exhaustion, leading to severe burnout and a tragic loss of connection to their true identity. For the survivor, being a chameleon is a defensive camouflage deployed to secure basic inclusion. Descending deeper from conscious thought and into the autonomic nervous system, we encounter the third engine, Pete Walker's fawn trauma response. This response is forged in abusive or unpredictable childhood environments. When a child learns that fighting back brings punishment and running away is impossible, the nervous system has to find an alternative way to survive. The brain learns a tragic, involuntary equation. It neutralizes a looming threat by abandoning its own needs and mirroring the aggressor's emotions to appease them. This extreme agreeableness is a performance of safety, a survival mechanism fueled by a deep, underlying terror. At the deepest clinical level, we find borderline personality organization and the phenomenon of identity diffusion. Here, there is no core self hiding behind the mask. Due to early trauma or intense enmeshment, the individual's identity never cohesively formed. To cope with this emptiness, they adopt the traits of people around them. By mimicking others' hobbies and values, they patch over the holes and feel a fleeting sense of reality. The chameleon act serves a structural purpose here. It is a desperate attempt to sketch a personality onto a vacuum. Whether driven by pragmatism, by neurodivergent masking, a fawn trauma response, or identity diffusion, the social chameleon is performing intense, exhausting psychological labor. This adaptation creates a devastating paradox. A perfectly constructed mask successfully protects an individual from rejection or danger, but by hiding the true self, it ensures they will never be authentically seen. Stopping the cycle starts with identifying which engine is running. Each driver, whether it's strategic ambition or a reflexive trauma response, requires a different path back to the self. Dismantling a lifelong adaptation is terrifying. It requires relinquishing the safety of blending in and tolerating the profound discomfort of standing out. A successful chameleon is never actually known. Trading the safety of the mask for the friction of a stable identity is the only way to move from merely surviving a social environment to actually existing within one.